Good evening. This is my weekly review for February 25th, 2018. It was the marvelous video by Saad on animal cruelty, meat eating, and human nature.
This is Saad for the Sad Truth. Today's talk is titled On Animal Cruelty, Veganism, and Human Nature. It is a presentation that I've long wanted to do because I've weighed in on several occasions in the past regarding my disdain for animal cruelty.
So I want to say, Dr. Saad, in the spirit of your illustrious Prime Minister, thank you. Now, ironically, I want to start this video out with a shout out to PETA, because they have managed to get through the security somehow of some of these factory farms and film what goes on and post these films on Facebook and on YouTube. So kudos to you guys for doing that. The factory farm facilities are very secured. I once drove onto the property of a factory farm of this nature once, and was promptly encouraged to turn around and leave as quickly as possible. So it was like driving onto some kind of weapons facility. So that tells you something. They really don't want you to see what's going on. So I want to show you a little bit of one of these videos that this guy made.
During my time as a PETA undercover investigator, working at 2 slaughterhouses owned by Tyson, which is a major supplier of chicken to KFC, I saw terrible cruelty inflicted on animals destined to become food. The blood and overpowering stench in the air weren't even the worst parts of it. Some birds were stabbed in the neck. Others had their heads cut off with a knife. Some workers would play a game where they shoved several birds into one shackle when the line stopped. And others, for fun, would throw birds at the shackles overhand and from long distances.
Now, that being said, PETA is an organization that is something like a religion, and it encourages the cult of veganism. And if you are not a vegan, you are a heretic, according to the culture of PETA and the culture of a lot of people who adhere to veganism. Not all of them, but there is a cult-like quality to this food religion, and the detractors of Saad belong to this religion. And it's exactly what he was talking about, vegan or Hitler. And by this stance, PETA is alienating a lot of potential allies, and that's a pity. Because what God is really talking about is doing something about animal cruelty, real cruelty, and in this case, and the most egregious violation is, of course, factory farming. And it's unbelievable, the magnitude of that industry. And working together, making the numbers as high as they can be in opposition to these egregious practices. We need all the help we can get on this issue. So to take the stance that nothing but completely eradicating the slaughter is acceptable is really counterproductive in terms of actual things we can do to decrease animal cruelty as it stands. People are not going to stop eating meat, period. That's what he's saying. Meat eating is entrenched in our nature, and he has a lot of evidence for this. And while it's certainly optimal not to eat meat in this day and age, in modern society, and while you can attempt to inform people of the benefits of not doing so and how this could be useful, you're unlikely going to be able to change the fact that many, many people will never stop eating meat. And that's not the real problem as much as the problem is factory farming. So you can see in this graph that much of the money allocated is going to more proximate animal cruelty, more in-your-face animal cruelty, like pet neglect, whereas people are deluding themselves about the origins of their food, and that's a pity. And you can see the allocation of funds. So Gad is right, you know, about this, and also about how difficult it is to remain vegetarian. You don't need to be an evolutionary scientist to observe this. People try all the time and fail. I've tried many times. As it stands now, I'm in a fortunate situation where I have a lot of meat that's been hunted. Now the difference is the animal has an unfettered existence till the last second, and a skilled hunter will take the animal down instantaneously. Otherwise, I go for humanely raised and sustainably wild caught. And the alternatives to factory farming are in fact becoming more and more numerous. And one thing we can do right now is not purchase food items that come from factory farms, period. And if you don't know in a restaurant where your meat came from, then order a vegetarian entree. You could buy Nellie's eggs, which are raised in normal farm-like conditions, and probably cost $4.50 a dozen. I want to show a little video from that company.
My name is Jesse LaFlamme of Nellie's Cage-Free Certified Humane Eggs, and Nellie's eggs are about treating our hens humanely. The eggs are from certified humane hens, where the hens are in barns where they can act like chickens. The chickens get to act like chickens. They roost, they scratch, they lay eggs in nests, they socialize, they eat when they want, and they're now able to go outside and access pasture during the warmer months.
Cage-free means that the chickens can wander around wherever they want. They can jump up on, we have perches that they can climb on. They can scratch wherever they want. They can visit with all their friends. Chickens are such wonderful critters. I can't imagine having them in a cage.
We have developed a really great barn system. It works very well. It's very efficient. The birds are very comfortable. The feed systems are automatic. The watering system is constantly, there's water there all the time. Ventilation is taken care of continually, so the bird comfort, that's temperature controlled.
Nellie's Cage-Free Eggs partners with over 30 family farms, and these families are able to keep a beautiful stewardship of caring for the land and keeping that land open for future generations.
Speaking of which, here's a graphic of some companies that use these products, and another aid to avoiding anything coming from these companies to the best of your ability. You see certified humane more and more in the supermarket, and that's good, obviously. And one thing we can do in a free market economy is vote with our pocketbook. You can argue, really, that it may be the most effective thing we can do. Companies certainly pay attention to what people will buy and what they won't buy. So if you love animals but are having difficulty becoming a vegetarian, then start decreasing cruelty by not buying products that capitalize on cruelty. Also, you could shop at farmers markets. It's rather expensive, but they're the farmers who go to those markets tend to treat their animals very humanely in the old-fashioned type of farming practices, and maybe even more humanely because of what we know now. And by the way, avoiding these products, means don't buy any animal products from China. Because if you think it's bad here, you do not want to know how your North Face jacket is made. And if you see anything that says Angora, don't get it. So I hope that made sense, and I'll see you next time.